Some things only come once in a lifetime, and when they do, you can ignore them, or your reality changes forever. You did not get here by mistake. This video was not just a random click. It was a calling. The wisdom that is about to be revealed is not theory. It is a code, a vibrational code used by ancient beings who understood how to manipulate reality. And this code does not show itself to just anyone. It appears only to those who are ready. And if you feel that something in your field has started to break, if things around you seem out of place, if you have noticed too many signs to be mere coincidences, then it is because the frequency has already started to touch you. Do not try to understand it with your mind. It is not about knowledge. It is about vibration. What thought was hidden for millennia, but now it has appeared to you. And what this wisdom does is not just about manifesting desires. It reveals who you really are. And when that happens, there is no going back. Stay with me until the end, because what you are about to discover will never leave your field. If you feel that this message resonates with you, that it is not just a video, but a key, then leave a like immediately and consider subscribing to the channel, not to support us, but because it is your silent way of saying, I am part of this space. I am aligned with this awakening. I consciously choose to walk with those who vibrate in the same direction. I will understand it. We will feel it. And together, we will continue to generate waves of truth. The soul attracts what it secretly cultivates in silence. What has been activated will now begin to move. But before you understand exactly what is moving, you need to understand one thing. This knowledge that is about to emerge in you is not new. It was not invented now. It was not created by any new age current, nor by internet gurus. This knowledge is ancient, extremely ancient, and because of this, it has been silenced. Imagine wisdom so powerful that it could free any mind from the invisible prison that rules this world. Information so transformative that if it were freely available, no power structure could remain standing. That is exactly why it had to be hidden, but not buried. It was sealed, protected, hidden within ancient traditions passed down orally, in codes, symbols, and practices that required more than simple curiosity. They required a vibrational preparation. This knowledge circulated in the hands of Sufis, Kabbalists, Rosicrucians, not because they wanted to monopolize it, but because they knew that this wisdom could not be given to those who still lived as slaves to their own minds. These groups were called occultists, esotericists, heretics, because they dared to say that power is not in heaven or on earth. It is in you. And when you access this power, you become uncontrollable, and the system fears. This history has always been written by those in power, and everything that posed the risk to the established order was labeled as dangerous, cursed, or improper. But what few realize is that this danger was never external. The real danger was in spiritual autonomy, in the fact that someone understood that he did not need to be saved, that he was already free, that he could shape reality from his own vibration. This is what the ancient Sufis try to teach with their spiral dances, connecting the body to the energy of the universe, breaking the veil of duality through movement. It was not art, it was sacred technology. This is what the Kabbalah preserved in its enigmatic diagrams, like the tree of life, each sphere, each path, an internal map of how the soul descends into matter and then ascends again, bringing with it the splendor of the One. This is what the Rosicrucians hid under Hermetic symbols, where the rose blooms in the center of the cross, the spirit that awakens in the pain of matter, remembering that even crucified, the sacred does not die. This knowledge was not kept hidden out of fear of the people, but out of fear of manipulation. Because a misunderstood truth can be transformed into a weapon, and a tool of creation in the wrong hands can become a mechanism of domination. And that is why the wisdom of Thoth was silenced. Thoth, the scribe of the gods, the one who did not speak of beliefs, but of frequency, the one who did not impose doctrines, but left codes. Codes that open only when the soul vibrates at the exact point of memory. And now that point has been touched in you. Perhaps you have not yet understood. It may seem confusing, dense, even absurd. But that is because your mental field is still trying to interpret something that can only be understood vibrationally. It's not about memorizing. It's about recognizing. And that's what starts to happen when this kind of wisdom touches your field. It doesn't ask for permission to be understood. It just is. And when it resonates, it activates. And that's exactly why this technique had to remain hidden for centuries. The first sign that you are ready is that it does not depend on words. It is not transmitted as a normal teaching. It has to be recognized as if it were already inside you, waiting for the right moment to emerge. Not with noise, but with silence. You know what I am talking about, even if your mind cannot yet express it in words. It is that feeling of having heard it before without ever having studied it. The kind of memory that does not come from childhood or school. It comes from a deeper place. A place where time does not flow. Out here, where everything simply is. This is the first sign that you are ready, because this wisdom does not knock on the door of those who are still trying to prove something. It only shows itself when the inner space is open, when the noise of identity begins to dissolve. And even if silently, the question arises, what if everything I thought I knew was not the center of truth? From this point on, it is no longer about searching. It is about listening, about feeling what is already vibrating inside. Because the whole body responds when the truth appears, the mind doubts, but the feel vibrates. And it is in that vibration that everything begins. You don't have to know how to manifest something. And perhaps this is the biggest mistake of the seeker, wanting to control the process, forcing the outcome, visualizing as if reality were a wish-granting app. But that's not how subtle reality works. Human consciousness doesn't create through effort. It creates through frequency. And that's why true manifestation isn't about asking. It's not about listing wishes or repeating phrases like automatic mantras. It's about aligning your inner state with the original vibration. And that doesn't happen at the level of ideas. It happens at the level of vibration. You are a receiver. You always have been from birth. You have absorbed everything around you. Sounds, shapes, emotions, thoughts, energies. You capture, record, respond. Even when you think you are in control, it is your field that reacts to the world, to family memories, to inherited traumas, to stories whose origins you do not even remember. And all of this forms your receiving code. That is why two people can be in the same situation and have completely different outcomes. It is not bad luck. It is frequency, and frequency comes from being, and from words. This stage is like a radio station that never stops broadcasting, only instead of music, it broadcasts reality. Your external life is a direct reflection of the frequency you are unconsciously emitting. You don't have to consciously want something. If your being vibrates scarcity, you attract scarcity. If your being vibrates fear, you attract what reinforces that fear. But when you start vibrating consciousness, something changes. You start noticing patterns. You start seeing that what seemed random was actually generated by you all along, not at the ego level, but at the subtle resonance level. This is where you stop living as a victim of circumstances, and you begin to understand that everything, absolutely everything, is organizing itself according to your vibrational signature. But that reception is still passive. And the secret is precisely in how to reverse this mechanism, because the universe does not respond to what you say. It responds to what you are, to the vibration you maintain. When no one is looking to the silent reasons behind your choices, it does not matter what you do on the surface. What changes the flow is the why hidden behind the gesture. And this is where the reversal begins. You may be helping someone, offering a gift, doing good. But if there is an intention behind it, of recognition, of approval, of validation, the universe does not read the action. It reads the vibrational code of the intention. Reality does not change because of appearances. It changes because of the frequency behind the appearance. And that frequency arises where the intention begins. Now watch this. Every human being, in essence, is always receiving in when they think they are giving. We receive attention. We receive experiences. We receive stimulation, opportunities, challenges, lessons. We receive even when we reject. Because even rejection is a form of experience that comes. But there is a hidden key in this process. You must not stop receiving. That would be unnatural. What changes everything is what happens energetically when you transform the simple act of receiving into an act of giving back. It seems paradoxical, but that is what begins to reverse the flow. It is not about giving up the experience. It's the opposite. It's about living it so fully with such awareness that the simple fact of receiving something already becomes an offering. Receive with such presence and gratitude that the act of receiving itself becomes a vibration of giving. It's as if you were saying to the universe, everything that reaches me will be amplified and returned. At that point, your vibrational identity changes because you are no longer a consumer of reality. You become an amplifier. The reality around you reorganizes, not because you ask, but because you generate. Your presence takes on a different density. You don't absorb, you radiate. And the universe responds not to reward, but to resonate. You begin to be recognized, not for what you want, but for what you emanate. This is when your energetic signature begins to align with the creative source. Because the universe by nature does not hold back. It flows. It creates, it gives, it holds nothing back. It gives constantly, and when you replicate the same pattern while remaining a receiver, your vibration synchronizes with its own. This is not symbolic, it is real. You may receive an opportunity, a blessing, a success, but if your intention is for this to also become a source of something greater, if your intention does not end with you, but spreads, overflows, shares, then the universe understands. Here's someone who vibrates with the same code as the source. And when this equivalence happens, everything around begins to align. Situations that seemed blocked begin to flow. Doors that were closed open. People appear along the path as living responses because the intelligence of existence senses that you are no longer operating as a normal receiver. It senses that your presence activates the flow and therefore expands. The reversal has occurred. What once came from the outside and now begins to emanate from the inside out. And that simple, silent reversal, imperceptible to those who only observe the surface, completely changes the way reality responds to your existence. You are no longer trying to make life work. Life starts to work around you because it now recognizes you. And when that code is activated, reality stops testing you. It starts to mold itself to you. The game changes. When you become the mirror in this moment, the game changes, and it changes silently, almost imperceptibly, but those who are paying attention can feel it. Because the effort disappears, the internal struggle stops. That constant pressure to control, to attract, to chase, dissolves. And not because everything has become magical or perfect, but because something much deeper has shifted. You have stopped acting like someone separate from reality. And you have started acting like a reflection of it. You have become a mirror, and mirrors don't force, mirrors don't compete. They simply accurately reflect what is in front of them. And when your vibration aligns with the vibration of the whole recognizes itself in you. It stops sending you evidence and starts using you as a living expression. In that moment, you are no longer manifesting. You are manifested. Reality observes you as much as you observe it. And when it sees that your intention is clean, coherent, stable, it mirrors you. It places you where your frequency needs to be. It brings people who resonate with your purpose. It aligns opportunities with your presence, not by merit, but by vibrational compatibility. You begin to operate as an extension of source consciousness, and that changes everything. You stop being the character trying to get something. You become the place where things happen. You stop operating in, I have to do something to get something mode and start operating in, I am vibrating something that already is mode. It is a change of axis from inside to outside, from pressure to expansion. This is not positive thinking. This is not the superficial law of attraction. It is resonance, and resonance is the most precise language in the universe. All creation responds to coherence. Everything that vibrates out of harmony has to struggle to exist. It has to force itself. It has to push. But what is in harmony does not struggle to exist. It simply takes up space naturally, like light coming in through an open window. And when you become a mirror of the source, you begin to admit that same naturalness. Life begins to recognize you not as a spectator, but as an active reflection, a living manifestation of the creative force. And that is why existence begins to shape itself to you. Because it now understands you are no longer asking, you are resonating. And here's the deepest part of this shift. You no longer have to explain anything. People around you will start to feel it. They will notice that there is something different about you, that your presence has a stability that is not easily shaken, that your words carry truth, that your gaze conveys certainty. And this is not about ego. It is about alignment. You become a mirror, not only for reality, but for others. And by seeing you, many will start to see themselves. This is how true changemakers operate. They don't seek stages. They don't need slogans. They simply vibrate what they are. They embody what the universe wants to expand. But this circuit is still incomplete. And what is missing is the most challenging point of all, because it is not enough to vibrate like the source. You have to remain whole in the face of what seeks to fragment you. Every powerful energy has a price, integrity. And integrity has nothing to do with morality. It has to do with vibrational coherence, with being one inside and out, with maintaining the same frequency when you are alone and when you are facing the world. This is the real breaking point. Because until now, everything seemed like energy flow expansion. But now reality will test you in a different way, putting you in front of what you judge, what you avoid, what still separates the me from the other. Because this is where the most demanding law comes into play, the one that cannot be falsified. Love your neighbor as yourself. But that doesn't mean pleasing everyone. It has nothing to do with being kind or forcing a spiritual smile while you fade away inside. Loving the other as yourself is recognizing that the other is you. Literally, philosophically, but vibrationally. And that changes everything. Because when you understand that the other is just an extension of the same principle that manifests you, you can no longer keep the masks on. Judgment vanishes. Confrontation loses meaning. Even conflicts change tone. Because now you are dealing with reflections, not enemies. But recognizing this takes courage. Because the first thing true love does is show you how fragmented you still are. It exposes your shadows. It activates memories you have tried to bury. It brings to the surface everything you have projected onto others, so you don't have to look at it in yourself. This is where the game turns, because loving the other as yourself means stopping running away from the parts of yourself you reject. It means stopping dividing yourself. It means integrating even what hurts, what you are ashamed of, what you do not want anyone to see. And when you do this, the other stops being a threat and becomes a mirror. This is the highest challenge of the spiritual path, because most people want to evolve without having to forgive. They want to awaken without going down into the dark parts of the soul. They want light without crossing their own shadow. But this does not exist. Unity is real only when it includes everything, even what you have tried to deny, even those who have hurt you, even the parts of you that still want to escape. And this is where the law of love begins to operate. When you can look at the other, any other, and recognizing him, the same principle of consciousness that pulsates in you. And this is not learned in books. It is activated in practice, in real relationships, in traffic, in conflict, in uncomfortable conversations. It is easy to love those who understand you. Life wants to see if you can maintain that vibration in front of those who challenge you, those who provoke you, those who do not understand you. Because that is where the level of integration is measured, not in theory, but in experience. And reality notices everything. It does not respond to beautiful words. It responds to real vibration. If you pretend to love, but inside you are judging, comparing, separating existence, senses, because true love cannot be recited. It can only be lived. It is the silent recognition that everything is one. And that is precisely where most people give up, without realizing that he was one step away from the door. The activation of the light body, because crossing this point requires no effort, requires presence. And presence is not a state of mind. It is a vibrational state. Those who still try to understand love do not cross, because the love that activates the being is not what you explain. It is what you become. This is the threshold of the invisible passage. The moment when you stop walking the path and become the path, there are no maps, there are no signs, no. But there is a vibration that begins to take shape inside you, a feeling of silent integration, as if for the first time, your soul is standing upright inside your body, and everything changes. What once seemed like separation now begins to dissolve. The mind still tries to resist, to bring back logic, judgments, old stories, but something deeper does not move. It is there, it is whole. This conscious love is not an emotion. It is not affection. It is an active frequency that begins to circulate in you, as if it were moving through the energy centers of your body with a new signature. It has no name, no language, but it has presence. And when that presence finds space, it pulsates. Those called it vibrational communion, a state in which the separation between you and the source dissolves, not by belief, but by direct experience. You are no longer invoking anything. You become compatible with everything. And at this level of compatibility, reality no longer needs to be forced. It begins to happen. Manifestation ceases to be an attempt and becomes a consequence. To the state where what is to come comes, where what is to go goes, not by will, but by pure resonance. This love, this silent recognition of oneness, not only transforms the way you see the world, it transforms your body. Because when this unification is real, something begins to light up inside you. It's as if a part of your system that has always been asleep begins to wake up, not in a magical or spectacular way, but subtly, like a light slowly turning on in a dark room. And as that light turns on, you begin to feel your inner state reorganizing. Your perception of time begins to change. Minutes no longer seem linear, hours no longer have the same weight. You begin to feel a fluidity in the air, a lightness in your thoughts, a deeper silence in moments where there was previously anxiety. This is the beginning of the activation of the light body. And no, it has nothing to do with becoming a magical, glowing being in the dark. Activation is not about how it looks. It's about how it works. Your being begins to emit more than it absorbs. Your body becomes more sensitive to truth and less reactive to noise. Your words begin to carry pure intention, as if energy is passing directly through your voice. People feel it. Situations respond to it. Life reorganizes around it. You become a high-frequency channel, and the more you are present in that vibration, the faster reality responds. Not because you convinced it, but because you now vibrate the same way. Life no longer perceives you as something separate from creation. It recognizes you as an active part of the creative mechanism itself. The light body is in practice a state of full presence, a state in which what you think, what you feel, what you emanate, and what you manifest are one coherent movement. This is what allows manifestations to arrive with speed, with precision, with ease. Because you have stopped being a point of interference and have become a point of coherence. And it is in that state that manifestation becomes inevitable. Because now reality is no longer responding to what you want. It is responding to what you are. This is the final shift, the fine line where everything begins to rearrange itself without effort, without visualization, without negotiation. You don't ask. You vibrate and life responds. It is at this point that the universe bows. Not by obedience, but by recognition. Your presence becomes a vector or a pure emanation of vibratory coherence. And coherence is the sound that reality respects the most. It is as if suddenly everything that once resisted begins to open. Not by miracle, but by attunement. You become the center of a magnetic force that does not attract with force, but with integrity. There is no longer any need to push anything. What comes, comes because it is ready. What goes, goes because it has already served its purpose. Life begins to move with an almost absurd precision. People you didn't expect reappear. Ideas come out of nowhere. Situations converge. Time seems to conspire. The mind tries to understand, but it can't. Because what you have access to now is another level of intelligence, synchronicity. And synchronicity is when reality stops testing you and starts using you as a tool for expansion. You have become a recognizable vibration within the entire system. And all this happens because you have activated what almost no one activates in this life. Because while many continue to try to force the flow with techniques and formulas, you have gone into silence. And in silence, you have returned to the original state, the state that thought, but that few had the courage to live. Now, you no longer need to create reality with effort, because you are the expanding reality. And here the journey ends, but not as an end, as the beginning of another state of existence. Now, you no longer manifest by desire, you manifest by identity. There is no longer any room for trying to make things work. There is no longer any question as to whether it will happen or not, because what you manifest now is not separate from you. It is only the visible extension of what you have become within. You have become conscious presence. You have become vibration with form. Life, which once seemed incoherent, now revolves precisely around you. Because you are no longer out of rhythm, you beat with the same pulse as creation. If this message resonated in the exact spot where no word had ever reached, leave a like, not for us, but to honor that silent part inside you that just said yes. Write the word alchemy in the comments. It is a call between those who have heard a signal, between those who vibrate in the truth. And if you recognized in these words a part of your own feeling, subscribe. Not to stay updated, but to stay faithful to what has just ignited in you. I wish you to remain whole even in broken days. To remember who you are when everything around you seems to forget it, and to shine even when no one asks you to. We meet again, where everything continues in silence and presence.